joining us for the next in the meditation series. Today we're going to be looking at the victorious breath. So you might have heard it referred to as the Ujjayi breath pattern. But what it is a really simple way to very quickly find inner peace. So it's a very accessible technique that can be used at the airport, in the car park, while you're walking. Anytime that you feel that you need to reconnect with that inner peaceful and quiet place. For this practice, and what we're going to do today is a supine example. So I have my comrade here, Ian, who is going to be our demonstration model for today. And so you'll also need a blanket. So a towel or a blanket will absolutely suffice. A bolster is a little bit too high, so we want to be a little bit closer to the ground. So whatever you take, if it's a blanket, we want to take a very small concertina fold. So it's more or less like this. I'm going to lay this out on the mat now and we'll get started. So we want to come and take the buttock about 6 inches or so forward of the edge of the blanket. And just use your hands if you like to slowly lower yourself down and rest. Take the legs out long so that the whole of the back of the body feels comfortable, and then just turn the palms upwards towards the ceiling. Is that okay, Ian? So we want to make sure that the chin and the chest are along the same line. If you're finding that the chin is lifting too high, you might want to take a small folded blanket underneath the back of the skull. So Ian is fine where he is, but if you feel that that might benefit, just take a moment to grab something to set you up. Now, if you at all during the practice you feel tightness in the belly, then you're probably going to want to wriggle down the prop a little bit. And if at all in the practice you feel tightness in the chest, you might want to move up the prop a little bit. Okay, let's begin. With the eyes closed, just start to notice the presence of the natural breath. And for the opening of this practice, let's allow the breath to drop to the pit of the belly. And just open the practice by simply observing the rise and the fall of the abdominal space. So nothing to do, nothing to force, just feeling it. Be aware of how you're breathing and where you're breathing to. That rising and falling. Now we're going to begin to work with the Ujjayi breath pattern. And we're going to start with a diaphragmatic Ujjayi before we move into the full practice. So that's that narrowing of the throat slightly, as if you were whispering. So it's the sound as the throat narrows in relation to the breath. And it creates this environment where the breath becomes audible just to you at the inner ear. So now allow the breath through the constriction of the throat to fall and fill the belly of the pelvis. So still just working this diaphragmatic abdominal breath pattern. As you breathe, can you imagine that you feel the sides, the back, and the front? So the breath has this 360-degree circumference from the center of the body. Now start to find just the right speed so that you're slowing the breath down as much as you can without force or challenge. So it's critical for us to start to seek a slower pace. As you inhale, just when it naturally happens, you'll feel the lower ribs expanding. You'll feel the abdomen expanding. As you exhale, the belly will drop, the lungs empty. Keep breathing, doing really well. So it's the balance between the challenge and the pace that brings the quietness to the mind. So let's increase the range now towards more of a full Ujjayi breath pattern. So allow the basin of the pelvis to feel, as you've been doing, the flare of the ribs, and now also the collarbone. The back of the torso, the chest. And the exhalation releases back from the collarbones to the base of the ribs to the belly. Complete volume of breath. So the full tidal volume of breath from the pit of the belly to the brightness of the collarbones. From the brightness of the collarbones back down into the pit of the belly. Sustaining the fluidity of the breath, remaining mindful and observant of how the breath is influencing the mind. As the practice continues, each breath becomes a little more complete, a little more fluid, a little more seamless. Now, as this practice becomes more meditative, you start to notice that you're no longer pulling the inhalation in, nor are you pushing the exhalation out. Instead, there's a feeling that the breath cascades over the throat, over the chest, and into the belly in an effortless stream. Full and complete, fluid and slow. The mind rests in the interior. Now relax all of your effort. Just let go of the practice now and return to the very first stages that we opened the practice with. Just natural breath, restful awareness. Gentle movement of the belly, not forced. The more more relaxed we are, then the more gentle the movement of the belly becomes. And now the breath begins to just pause spontaneously. Top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. There's a slowing of the mind and a balance of the nervous system. A clearer, sharper, perceptive clarity. Use this practice anytime you need it. And stay here in this position for as long as feels reasonable and comfortable today. Namaste.